What is up, YouTube? This is Anashi back with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist update video. So this list was a bit different in a lot of weird ways. The first one being that this was announced at the very end of a recent tournament, and it went into effect near immediately, which means that by the time you're watching this video, it will have already been in effect. But in addition to that, okay, I'm just gonna say it. Does anyone else feel like this list was a wee bit lackluster? It definitely fixed some problems in the game, but I just feel like for some reason, it feels kind of like a hollow victory, because even with all these changes they made, it feels like they didn't do enough or they didn't do something right. I don't really know how to put it into words, but something about the list just feels off and a little hollow. Firstly, they banned 3 cards. The first one being Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. If I understand correctly, you can blame Sanctifier Dragon for this one. Next is Jugin the Spiritualist. Same thing, Sanctifier, and quite possibly Spellbook of Judgment. And finally is Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye. Now people can finally stop directly associating people who play Fire Kings with Snake Eye. That is the biggest reason I've avoided making a Fire King deck, because all I would ever hear is comments about where's Snake Eye, where's Snake Eye. I don't like Snake Eye. I just want to play Fire Kings. Is that so hard to understand? 4 cards were limited down to 1. The first one being Tenpai Dragon Chundra. Now that was a serious hit to the deck. If I understand correctly, this card was integral to their ability to make their combos. I'm sure they can still play at this point, but I feel like they're not going to be anywhere near competitive level anymore. Next is Phantom of Yubel. I believe the deck still functions perfectly fine with this only at 1, but they did lose quite a bit of steam on their end boards when it came to this thing. Next is Sangen Kaiman. Okay, I take back what I said before. This hits the deck a little too hard in my opinion. I think they might have been overcompensating for how strong this dragon deck is. And finally is Zodiac Barrage. Wow, what a wonderful thing to see while Trident is still banned. Maybe this will spur Tri-Brigade players to try something different. 5 cards were put to 2. First one being Cyberjar. Okay, I take back slightly what I said earlier. This is actually a fun change. I understand that mechanically it is absolutely ass backwards for the sake of deck building and hand trap ratios and all that nonsense, but at the same time, I love Cyberjar. Next is Danger Jackalope and Danger Tsuchinoko. They're not quite full power yet, but Danger is definitely getting better by the ban list. And with all those new Dark World cards, I'm sure they're going to see a lot of play now that they're back at 2. Next is Eva. I'll be honest, did not expect to see this card stick around. I figured it would be thrown right back onto the ban list in the next set. I'm actually kind of glad I was wrong on that one. Finally, it's Performapal Monkey Board. As long as Performapal Plushfire gets its errata before it comes off the ban list, I think we'll be okay. Finally, 10 cards were unlimited and are back to 3. First is Blaster, Redox, Tempest, and Tidal. I've already gone over these cards multiple times. I don't want to do it again. You already know I don't like them, but I will acknowledge that I was probably wrong about them. They're relatively fine now, I guess. Next is Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Given the new Jirac support that we have coming soon, I'm actually kind of happy to see this card. Next is Lunalight Tiger. I guess this is fine. It didn't really change much when it came back in the first place, so sure, why not? Rescue Ace Airlifter. For some reason, I get the feeling everybody kind of agrees that this card really shouldn't have been hit in the first place. Not only did it feel like an odd hit, it felt like an irrelevant hit. If they really wanted to hurt the deck and slow it down, they could have just hit Hydrant. Next is Thunder Dragon Colossus. I'm not really sure what to say here. Colossus didn't do as much as I thought it would, so I guess it's fine and back at 3. I know I'm going to be playing it in my new Thunder deck soon. Next is If the World Chalice Justiciar. I figured this would be another game-breaking card. Turns out hardly anybody plays it, but weirdly enough, Penguin players are now testing it as a tech in their decks, so it's kind of neat to see people playing around with the idea. I might actually give it a try myself. And finally is Opening of the Spirit Gates. Now that they hit Yubel directly, it makes sense that they would allow this card to come back at 3. And that's the entire ban list. I tried my hardest to put a little bit more energy into this than I was really expecting to, but the fact is the list really does feel kind of limp-wristed, for lack of a better term. Sure, it hit Tenpai, it hit Snake Eye, it both hit and brought back Yubel just a wee bit, but so far the most interesting parts about the list is Cyberjar at 2 and the way they announced it. But I'm hoping it's not just because I'm under a lot of stress from my job, which is the main reason, by the way, not to tangent too hard. I haven't been uploading any unique videos in a while. My work life has gotten really hellacious and difficult. I won't go into details, but understand that it's really taking up a lot of my time. The good news is the ban list hasn't affected any of my decks, which isn't really saying much, but everything that I said in the previous ban list video still holds true now. I am still working on every single deck as hard as I can. And as soon as I have the time, the energy, and probably the money to get the things I need to complete these decks, I will make videos on them soon. I just want you guys to hang on a little bit longer. I am glad that the list finally dropped, and it was kind of fun the way they did it. I kind of hope they do it that way again, if not a more interesting way, but hopefully the next list doesn't leave me feeling so shortchanged, I guess. I thank you for watching the ban list video, and if you have anything to say about the ban list, feel free to say so below. In the meantime, this has been Anashi, signing out.